Stream. Come on, stream. Alright, there's the stream. Wow, that's nice. I'm going to change it.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to Benzinga's PreMarket Prep, brought to you by Benzinga Pro. I'm your co-host, Joel Elconin, along with Dennis Dick. Spencer is out in Kansas City hanging with some of his buddies. Spencer, I hope you're behaving out there. Good show lined up today, even though a little bit of a slow on Friday. Our guest will be Kenny Glick. He is the owner and creator of HitTheBid.com. Kenny had some great predictions, came true last year. Maybe he has a few good jokes for us, too. We'll talk about some of the after-hours movers, casino stocks up and down based on, I guess, some false Macau news. BIB, Biogen, up on Alzheimer trials, some nice movement in Express Scripts, and also Tyson Chicken. Some earnings after the close, Finisar, Broadcom, Fred, Restoration Hardware. We'll cover those as well. We'll talk some range changes, not a whole lot. Maybe focus a little bit on the insurance sector today. Good morning, Dennis. How you doing on this Friday morning?
I'm doing pretty good here. Feeling a little bit better. I'm finally, after 1 month, finally starting to kick this cold. And looking here at the S&Ps, and you know what? I still say it's Groundhog Day. And I think traders are trading this strategy too, because last night I was watching the trading action in Bank of America. I was starting to get bid up after hours, and it's getting bid up more. And I'm like, you know what? They're all just buy here because they think it's going to open up the next day, because it seems to open up every single day. And here we are. This morning, Bank of America is up once again, even with the European banks under pressure here this morning. Deutsche Bank down 3%, Barclays down 2.5%, Banco Santander's down 2%, ING, Credit Suisse all trading in the red. Even though the European banks are down here today, the U.S. banks are still up again. So you just cannot kick it. What you said yesterday, a flat day is the new down day for these banks. And here we are this morning. Bank of America's trading up another 15 cents. Joel, it's just Groundhog Day around here.
All right, let's take a look at Bank of America. Climbed into another handle yesterday. We got up to 23.29. I believe so. A little bit of a weak close under $23. 23.24 was your pre-market high, or excuse me, yesterday's high. 22.95 has been the high close of the move.
What's it going to take to get like a solid down day in one of these bank stocks or in this banking sector? Because I'm just looking at that chart from the last 1 month. And the biggest down move we really had, if we were really reaching here, was probably when we went up on Bank America from 21.42 up to 21.94. And then we gave that back and went down to, it looks like 21.02. So it looks like in this whole incredible 7 or 8 point run, the biggest down move we've had has been about a buck. That's been the biggest pullback in a 7 or 8 point move. That is incredible.
I don't know.
If you're in it, just one more point. If you're in it and you're using trailing stops, man, you've moved those stops up a long ways. I guess that's the way you got to play it, eh? Just keep coming up with your trailing stops and wait for the stock, and just keep following it up with trailing stops, and you keep making more money.
Maybe like the Fed comes out and they raise, but they say, boy, we're not raising again for a long time.
When is the Fed decision? What's the date?
Next week.
It's a Wednesday?
Yeah. Yep.
So you're telling me we got another 3 days where we're going to continue to rally ahead of it.
I mean, I don't even know if...
Maybe they get nervous and sell ahead of it. I don't know. I'm looking for any reason to short these banks, and I'm telling you, man, I've tried for the last month, to try to short Bank America. I tried again yesterday, and I just keep getting stopped out. And that's the one thing, it's all about risk management, not holding on, not getting caught short. I try it, I think I've got it, starts coming my way, and they just turn around and start buying again. Even yesterday at the open, they started to turn a little bit. They opened, they ran a little bit, and then it started to give some back. I was like, okay, we're getting a pullback. Here it comes, here it comes. Nope. They have after about 20 minutes of pulling back about 30 cents on Bank America, they come in and start buying it again. And they just can't stop. It's like crack. It's like crack for traders. They can't stop buying the banks.
Uh, then we'll look for consolidation, Dennis. If we're not going to try and pick a top, we'll find a consolidation period where it just kind of hangs out for a little bit. And then if it breaks out of the consolidation to the downside, then perhaps we will get it. But Goldman Sachs has been ripping here. Who would have thunk it? Look at that. Oh, my Lord. 242.42. Getting back all those losses. What was the financial? We're within $10 finally of that all-time high. Unbelievable.
We're within $10 of the all-time high before the financial crisis. And at the financial crisis, Goldman got down to $46. So now it's 241. We're back. Everything is back. Thanks to Trump.
What about let's just talk IBM. I hate to jump around, and we'll do this afterwards.
Well, we like jumping around.
But what about just like, is it time to just load the boat here on like the March 180s here in IBM? I mean, we've been talking
Looks
about
like it's breaking out.
Yeah, look at that 165 level here. So maybe that thing will finally get some love. If you look at all the other dogs that kind of like have woken up, maybe IBM. That's my call. That's my bullish call for 2017. IBM. I'm going to go out early on a limb.
And we got Santa Claus coming to town, don't forget, in a couple weeks here. So Santa Claus rally is usually good. The Santa Claus rally officially the day after Christmas till I think it's 2 days into the new year, isn't it? I'm trying to remember what they actually classify the Santa, because people say the Santa Claus rally, is December or before December, but I think technically speaking, it's the day after Christmas, like the first day open, until I think it's 2 days into January. I don't know why I think that, but it should go to.
And then you got the January effect as well. But, last year also the scenario where they bumped the rates in December, ugly January, part of February before we turned. So
it was the oil crisis last January.
Exactly. All right, so we did have some after-hour movers, Dennis.
We did.
Yeah.
And let's talk the casinos first, because this was huge movers yesterday. You can look at this chart like Las Vegas Sands lost $8 yesterday. MGM lost a couple of dollars. Wynn Resorts, WYNN, fell almost 14 points yesterday at one point. Actually, 13 points it fell. Closed near the lows. These stocks are your big winners of the day here now, though. They're getting back over half of those losses here in one mighty blow. If you're buying the dip, you're being instantly rewarded here. But, Joel, what was the news first that made us fall from grace, and what is the news that is now driving us back up?
Well, the best that I can interpret is Macau came out and said they're basically going to halve the ATM withdrawals, and that came out just before the close on Thursday. Boom, hit the panic button. Everybody sells the stocks hard. And then, let's see here, 5:56 a.m., Macau Authority clarified it capped ATM withdrawals for China UnionPay cardholders to 5K, and I am Patakas transaction, but the daily limit was unchanged at 10K yuan. So my best interpretation of this
That's what I want to know is the interpretation. A lot of jargon there.
Is that they said they were cutting withdrawals so people couldn't lose as much money, but as it turned out, they're keeping the withdrawals the same. That's my
we're back. And we're back.
And we're back.
Buy the dippers win again. These buy the dippers, man, they always seem to win, don't they?
Yeah, buy the dip, that's in everything until.
8-year buy the dip. I mean, everything. Like, really, when you put it in perspective, okay, we can thank Trump for this, last hurrah. But let's look since the financial crisis down, at 2000, the 2009 lows. We got down to 666 S&P. That was a scary number in itself. What has been the maximum pullback since then? Like, I think somebody said that we haven't pulled back more than 10% in the entire 8 years. Like, we haven't had an official bear market, because they say when you're 20% off the highs, that's when you get that official bear market. But on the S&P, Somebody was saying, I don't know if it's true or not. You can maybe check the chart and see if you see it. But they were saying since the March 2009 lows, we haven't had a pullback. They had one 10% pullback, I think, with Ebola, but we haven't had a pullback like greater than 11% in the last 7 years. Is
Well,
that correct? Does it look
I'm
right on the chart? Look at the S&P chart. Does it look right? This a
boom.
trader just told me that, so I'm not sure if I
Well,
don't
what
have
was
your.
this little move in late 2010, early 2011? The S&P went from 1400 down to 1050.
Okay, so that was now. You know what? That was when Europe was having its problems. So maybe he was quoting from that date. So, but since 2011, then let's look at from since 2011. That was a pretty good pullback. That was when we were having a little bit of European bank crisis. I remember that. It was fun again. I like the down market. It's fun to trade the down market. Since then, though, we have not had. We had the one Ebola crisis, back at the end of 2015. But really, it's been straight up since then.
And the two real good dips that to buy were both like during the overnight sessions, right? The Brexit, boom, came roaring back, and
Buy
then
the dip.
the election,
Buy the
and
dip,
yeah.
especially on limit down. Ace was even if Ace he just went for his coffee, but he was saying to me, "Is it always just a good buying opportunity to buy these, limit down when the S&Ps are limit down after hours? Isn't just an automatic buy?" And it has been the last two times. There's risk involved. The risk of that, being an Ace was asking me this. The risk would be, what he's saying. What is the risk? Because it can't go lower on you. Well, it can because it can open up the next day. They can halt and then open up the next day, and it might gap down on you. So that is the risk. But both last times you were buying limit down after the Brexit and after the Trump victory, you were massively, massively rewarded. And limit down in the overnight session, just to let you know, on the S&Ps is -5%. So when the S&P futures fall 5%, they go limit down until the next morning, unless they come back. So limit down is it just cannot trade lower. It's not allowed to trade lower. It can trade higher though. So what happens is at the Trump thing, it traded limit down for about a half an hour or an hour. Then he had his concessions, or they had the Hillary concession speech and the Trump victory speech, and they started slowly buying it. And then we know what happened. By the next day, we were way up. So yeah, it seems
I
like on these limit
don't
down.
think. Well, no, I mean, you guys are giving a good scenario here, and I don't think I've seen this. Uh, Maybe back since when we were in the Bright office. I mean, obviously the market was at a much lower price and lower multiple, but I think you did have like a limit down, a halt, and
And then it
then
can gap down.
it
Yeah.
can gap down again. So, I mean, those last two scenarios, which you are talking about, it held the limit. But I remember, when we were at that Bright office and you would just be, be looking at it, be lock limit, and then, on the squawk, they would say, they're coming in off the limit. We'd start lifting offers up, lock limit down again. And you'd be like, uh-oh, because that happens a few times too. So the risk is on the reopen. Let's say we're down.
If they actually halt it and in the next morning and they have to reopen it, that we could gap down.
That's
further.
never happened. That's never happened where the spoos have gotten halted and they haven't reopened it.
I don't remember it happening.
I can't remember.
Over in the overnight session.
Yeah.
But I know on S&P limit down, remember it used to be down 35 points when we were back at Bright. And S&Ps were trading back at like 900 then, so 35. That was intraday though. When it went 35 points down, then we halted. I think it was it 2 minutes or 5 minutes? The rules are all different now. We're going back. We're dating ourselves, me and Joel here, trying to remember how it was back, in 1999. But I'm just going from my memory. I think it was halted for 5 minutes, and then they would reopen, and then they sometimes gap down again. I mean, we saw this during, the time that we saw this was the most was in 2001 when the tech bubble burst. In 2000 and 2001, March 2000, obviously the high, and then 2000 and 2001, we saw lots of limit downs. Like it was crazy. That's when the S&Ps went from like 1,500 down to like, I don't know where we got to, 700 or 800. And obviously the NASDAQ went from 5,000 to 1,100. So that was a tech bubble burst. So, so it can happen. We just have not experienced a bear market here for the last 6 years. And it's a lot different. I tell you, it's more fun to trade. Not more fun to be invested, but as a trader, I love the down markets because stocks fall a lot quicker than they go up. But, in this case, I guess maybe in the new Trump world, maybe they go up just as fast.
All right. So
Big tangent,
But
Big
yeah,
tangent.
casino stocks talking to buying limit down. What a great parallel there. All right.
Anyways, casino stocks are all bouncing back here today. What are your thoughts now that they're bouncing back? We're looking at Wynn Resorts, for instance, 102 down to 90, back up here to 97.5 this morning. What's the thoughts?
Oh, the thought is that for the much as they hit it, really not getting that much of a rebound, right? I mean, we hit 90. I mean, this I'll have to go to a quicker 5 minutes because they hit it right before the close. Then they hit it after session. Oh, I guess there's a pretty good rebound. Let me take a look at the dailies here. Closed at 90.72. Where is Win trading right now? Let's keep an eye
Comes
on.
the air math.
Boy, I mean, 12-point
Yeah,
break yet?
use those grade 5 skills, Joel.
I would use 96 as because it was basically a 12-point drop. 96, we're trading well above that. I'll tell you it might not come into play today, but if you get anywhere near 102, you got a triple top there. And it was nice on the decline yesterday, though. If you've been waiting for that gap fill, you got it. But just keep an eye here on that 50% of yesterday's range. Probably also be your daily pivot right around 96. But basically, major resistance up at 102, major support down at 90.
Okay, remember here, if you're just looking at MGM wondering why it's not up as much, it wasn't down as much yesterday, they don't have as much presence in Macau. So when in Las Vegas Sands, a lot more of their operations are in Macau, so they're more exposed, so they're going to be more volatile relative here. That's why MGM's only moving about half of the amount of Wynn and Las Vegas Sands. Moving away from the casinos and on to the earnings parade here, the last earnings
What
stocks
about
of the week.
Biogen?
Want to go Biogen first?
Yeah,
All right, let's go Biogen
after
because
hours
Biogen's
movers.
been in the doghouse. Everybody's in. And yesterday, you know what? It finally got a little bit of a lift. Well, today it's getting a big time lift here. We've got some positive data from their Alzheimer's drug here. I can never pronounce these things. Can you pronounce it, Joel?
Nope.
You're not even going to try? Try. But that's why we need Spencer. When Spencer's not here, we can't even mention these drug names because we don't know how to say any of them. But, okay, so I'm going to make an attempt here to say aducanumab. Is that right? Aducanumab.
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 Yes.
We're close. We're
yeah.
close. Anyways, all you need to know is they see some of the data came out from their trials there, and the big statement that I see here is that the numbers in the press release are promising. Because we got a lot of numbers, and we're not biotech analysts here, so we're not going to try to break into these numbers and understand it all. I just want to know the bottom line. It says, the press release says the numbers are promising. And that is why Biogen is trading up 5% here in the pre-market, trading up at 304. The only problem here is Joel's air math will tell you that we are getting close to that 50% retracement of the most recent move.
I just want to point out here for you gap fill traders, going back to the election, you had a little gap here from where's our gap up day? You needed to get to 268 to fill the gap, right? And in yesterday's trade, no, not 268. What was the high on that day?
We filled it.
279. Yeah, filled it by a buck, and now you're back up here trading at 305. Just I don't know. I see some sellers up here at 305. I'm just looking.
Overhead supply.
I'll just give you this number right on the nose. 304.30. That was your November 30 high. Pre-market high 305. See what happens there. If not, the next day, the high on the previous day was at 307.42. So 305.70, 305, 307, a little bit of sell range here if you got caught in that little downslide yesterday or the last few days in Biogen.
I like the fact it's bouncing back here, but there's so much overhead supply here. And the fact that biotechs have just been under pressure here, really, since they had the big run up right after Trump, they've been straight down ever since. Now you get a big pop back here. I mean, from 280 now to 305, a 25-point rally in a session and a half. I think there's going to be sellers here lining up. I own Biogen, and I'm bearish the stock, so short term. So I own Biogen, had it in my portfolio since $50. I don't plan on selling it, but wow, Biogen, that's a big comeback here in 2 days.
All right, Mr. Left was talking about Express Scripts yesterday, and
Yes, he was.
They hit it, and it's coming back a little bit. Dennis, you had that scenario. What Mr. Left said, was it on CNBC?
Yeah, well, okay. He tweeted out yesterday, so let's just give you the details in the background here. So ESRX is the stock that we're looking at here, Express Scripts, and it was trading at around $76. So Citron, Andrew Left tweets out yesterday, and I'll just read you the tweet from Citron Research. If you don't follow Citron Research on Twitter, you should because they are market movers, man. So yesterday, you could see, I can just look at the intraday chart. And you can guess the time that the tweet came out because it went from boom 76 down to, wow, you can see the big collapse from 74 down to $68. ESRX is Philidor of the pharma industry. And then he tweets at the real Donald Trump. So he tweets at the president. Promises to fix drug pricing. 2 words, Express Scripts. So basically, he's calling out ESRX to the president on Twitter. And he knows that the president looks at his Twitter feed here. So they hit it hard. And they hit ESRX all the way down to $68. Started bouncing back towards the end of the day. So then Andrew Luff comes on CNBC last night, and he was kind of backing off a little bit. He wasn't like crushing, like you were wondering what he was going to say because really we only had these couple tweets where he was saying he sees ESRX going down to potentially $45. So, you want the details of it, but he often points out like fraudulent companies, accounting issues, different major things. He said on CNBC, I watched the interview, it was a great interview. He said, this isn't fraud. This isn't the case. This is just simply a matter of he feels like they are benefiting the most, off of making drugs, and they don't even make the drugs. They're just kind of the middleman here or something, getting kickbacks and stuff. So he, thinks that if they cut some of that out, if Trump is really looking into it, that this company could be very exposed, not making as much money in the future. If that's the case, stock goes down to $45. A lot of ifs, though. And that's why I think it's bouncing back here this morning because it's up $1.26. It started rallying right after his interview. And I think, people are saying, okay, well, we thought there might be more to this. It doesn't sound like as much as, maybe your tweet was, thinking. So that's why stock is bouncing back here this morning.
$72 seems to be where it's consolidating after that big move. Look at that for the last several brackets on the 15-minute chart. So keep 72 as the swing level. If you're starting to go in rally mode, some people are going to be wishing they sold it at 73, 74, 75, and 76. So I think you'll see some lowered offers on this if it does come back and start to rally today. And the last after-hour movers is chicken back, Dennis, Tyson Foods.
Jamie from Bright was pointing this out to me last night. He's like, holy cow, did you see the move in Tyson Chicken? And I hadn't looked at it, actually. So thanks, Jamie, for letting me know that. TSN breaking out. So obviously disappointing earnings. They slammed the stock. It's been coming back slow. Buy the dippers. Win again. $56 just a week and a half ago. It's now $61.59. Trading at or closing at there last night into the gap area here, Joel. You think this thing could see $65?
I mean, it's not going to go there today, but I mean, it's definitely. I mean, it's in that gap area. Nice setup here. If you had been watching this at 60 intraday, 5 highs right at 60, broke above that. I mean, there's nothing there. What do you need to fill the gap here in Tyson Chicken? It came down on that. Oh, big gap here. No, it's actually the day before. It had a it had a little bit of a rally.
66.34.
So, yeah, that's a long way to go. And I don't know who it was. Was it Angie Baby or was it Phil Chen? I know someone was bottom picking in here. I don't know if it was the actual day. Look at that. Actual day of I think it was earnings or there was like a chicken warning. That was the day that it made the absolute low of the move. Got a little pop, then came and tested again. So whoever picked this up, I can't remember who it was in the chat, but congratulations, Chicken is back.
You know what the best timing, and you've taught me this too, Joel. It's not on the initial down move. So you can see, obviously after the disappointing news there, Tyson Foods went all the way down to 55.72, and then it bounced. It's the retest of that move that is the best buying opportunity because that's you're not just trying to pick the absolute bottom. You now have a reference point. And if you look, we retested coming back here to 55.94 back on December the 1st, and that passed, and then we've been straight up ever since. So it's those retest of those prior lows that is really the best buying opportunity there. It worked at Tyson Foods, even Abercrombie and Fitch. Check this one out. It got downgraded to sell here today, so I was on our list to talk about it. Argus downgrading ANF to sell, but take a look at this 14 level. So, that's the washout. That's where it bounces from originally, comes back, retests, bounces, comes back, retests, can't get down. We even talked about it on the show that day. I'm like, this 14 is huge. It was bad news that day, bad news in the sector. I'm like, but Abercrombie and Fitch, that's the level it needs to hold. If it holds that, That's where, and it has, and for 4 straight days, Abercrombie Fitch is straight up. So it works, man. Those levels work.
And it's not. I mean, they don't work every time, but you have an out. You know where if you're getting into the position where you're going to exit the position, or at least retry and have a reference point. Angie Baby did buy the Tyson chicken, killed on earnings. She bought it 58, but she buys and she never sells. So we won't even ask her for a target on that
She's
one.
like Warren Buffett.
Yes, she is. Maybe it is Warren Buffett and going under Angie Baby in the chat. All right. Now, Dennis, I know you've been dying to get to the earnings here. Oh, one more thing, Dennis. All the things that I taught you when you
teasing me.
Yeah, would you write them down and then send them to me again so I can remember what I taught you, because seems to be some pretty good things.
I use all these lessons that you taught me over those years.
Write them down.
Like, the stocks go straight down. He's like, why buy it on the first time? Buy it on the retest. That's when you've got a reference point. Right now you don't have a reference point. It's all air. And I always get excited. Stock's down $10. I want to buy it. Oh, wait. You sometimes get a second chance. Those second chances are usually the best, because then you have your reference point.
Instead of having like the 10,
that might be one of the best lessons you ever taught me.
Instead of like the 10 commandments, you have like Joel's 10 trading rules and a big plaque in your basement, right? And then you always
yeah, I look at it every day. That's rule number 6.
All right, earnings after the close.
Restoration Hardware destroyed. All right, so your old retest rules could apply here. But anyways, we did quite get down there. $28 is where this thing is a hard bottom down October, November. We bounced earlier than that, though. I'll give you the numbers here. Go to the trusty Benzinga Pro. Let me go see our H numbers from last night, bringing them up. Our H. Okay, so 20 cents versus 16, 549 million versus 527 million. That's a beat at the top, that's a beat at the bottom, but then the guidance. Always about the guides. 60 to 70 cents. Analyst estimates were way up at $1.08 for next quarter. For the fiscal year 2016, they're seeing $1.19 to $1.29. Analyst estimates were way up at $1.64. So this week Q4 guides and week 2016 full year guides is hammering the stock. And it is down 17% here in the pre-market. Restoration Hardware, that nice old antique store that me and Joel always make fun of, getting the beats here this morning.
31.20, that's your pre-market low. Someone's trying to bring in stock here under 32. As you could tell here, not ready to quite say the low is in for the day, Dennis, but I think anything under this 31.20 low, you had an area, you had a 30.90 low. Boom. So right there is a reference point. Then you had a low at $30. Nice gap. And I think on this day here, I think this day that you had this big move from like 30 to 30. I know Goldman got down and dirty in this one, and I think they gave it like an upgrade or something. I would love to get the Goldman analyst on the line here to see what they're saying now, but they did. Let's see if I can go to my trusty Benzinga Pro here. Not used to doing this, usually having Spencer do this for me, but Goldman did have a ratings change in this.
It was a big move. It was back in the summer. And I remember the stock popped like $3 on it. It was crazy move. Like 10% up on a Goldman upgrade to buy.
It was,
making influence stock.
Boy, that's nice, Dennis. It was on August.
I remember. You know why? Because I didn't get it. And I would have liked to have participated in that one. But I remember I missed it. I was like, Usually, because, we clear Goldman. So I'm like, I like to, trade the Goldman ratings changes there. But I didn't have a chance to trade that one.
That was a while ago. That was on August 18th here. Let's see if we can find that. All I have to do is look for the gap up. Yeah. I went from a 30.77 close to 34.22 the next day on a Goldman upgrade, and now you're coming back. I mean, I can't give you exact area, buy area. I mean, the low of the move here in Restoration Hardware is quite a bit lower than this, but I'm just thinking, man, you got caught short in this thing this whole way up from 28 to 39. You got to be, your average price better be higher than 30. Small gap to fill in here too. So we'll see. We'll see what Restoration
Hardware. Buy the dips.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Automatically, Dennis. You should just have like an iceberg here.
Buy the dip, Algo.
Right.
Just buys the dip.
All right.
So that's your disaster stock of the morning here. Let's go the other way. AVGO, which is Broadcom. Everybody always loves this stock. It seems to always rally. Up 6% here this morning on their earnings report. Ethan was giving me hell from the chat. He says, I read the earnings too fast.
You were flying, man. You were flying on that one. I was going to say.
You know what? I don't even care about the numbers. I just care whether they beat or lost. All right. AVGO. 347. Last year they made 251, saying a little bit slower here. Q1 sales were 4.075 billion. Stock trading up. All you need to know is the bottom line. Stock's up 5.8% here in the pre-market, trading up $10. And all you need to know is Joel's levels. Give us a level here at
181.
ABTO.
181. That's
That's
it.
the all-time high.
No, it took out the all-time high, and boy, it had 5 months in a row when it hung out at like 178. When the all-time high was 79.42. Now you hit 181. I own this. It goes up. I'm selling a little bit at 181, 181 and a half, 182, 182 and a half. If I'm looking to get out of a big position, if I'm short, which I'm not, I don't know, just adding to it, just selling more, waiting for it to come in. And I'm just
Banks
joking.
are starting to roll over here, Joel. I just wanted to let you know that Bank of America has now went in the red. So everybody who bought it yesterday thought they were going to sell on the open and the green. Maybe this is the time, but probably not.
23. I mean, we've been talking about whole numbers here. Is 23 going to be the stopper?
Probably not. To trade it through it yesterday, so
Well,
we
but
know what happens. It pulls back 20 cents and they come hand over fist buying them again. We know
someone
how this works.
someone pointed out here not too long ago that when this thing topped out in November of 2008, that was, let me go here, going, I don't know who it was, 8 years ago. Bank America, let me take a look at the monthlies here. No, that's not right. Oh, yeah, it did, but it topped out at a higher level. That was in November, and we're in December here. So 7,000 times trying to short the banks. That's Bob Wire. So we'll see.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've been doing it 7,000 times too.
All right.
Hasn't worked.
What else we got?
Imbalance looks, and just let's look quickly at imbalances, and we'll go to the last earnings stock. There's Citigroup 56,000 to sell, JP Morgan 20,000 to sell. Those are all small. Wells Fargo 21,000 to sell, but they all are slightly trading the red, and they were green when we started the show. So financials finally starting to show a little bit of weakness here. Alibaba 35,000 to buy. Where is the Bobster? BABA. That 90 level, man. These levels hold, Joel. Look at all those lows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lows in the same area. You know it's going higher, don't you?
Yeah, that. Oh yeah, but that didn't quite get there yesterday. Having some trouble above 95 here, so we'll see. See if we can clear that 95 level. Great support at 90.
And your last earnings stock from last night, Duluth, DLTH. It was a couple that was reported, but the last one I had on my list to talk about because it's down 17% in the pre-market as well. The long underwear company there, I always love their commercials, trading down near $30 here, 30 and a quarter. It was bouncing around quite a bit last night, but they hit this pretty hard there. Going to the trusty Benzinger Pro to grab you those numbers. I'll try to read them slow so you can get those numbers in. DLTH reports 4 cents versus 0 cents. So they made 4 cents, but the revenue was light, 67 million versus 69 million. And their estimates there for the fiscal year 2016, 360 and 370 million versus 380 million. EPS 52 to 60 versus 70. So light. That's light on the revenue guidance here, full the 2016, and that has the stock under pressure here. Obviously, on the pre-market, it's trading down 18% now, trading at 30 and a quarter.
29.70. That's your pre-market low. Hanging at 30 here. You think, the people that got caught between the run between 30 and 38. I don't know. We're not going to get to 28 today. 28 to 30 really looks like a good buy zone here. Major support at 26. Let's cover a couple stocks in here real quick in the chat before we go to Kenny Glick. VRNS. I will just give you a quick technical. I'm not sure what the if there's any news on it yet. Good support just under the 26, but you got to go to the pre-market chart. You see a nice pop up this one up to 28, 27.90. Not much in here until above 29. I see your high December 1st at 29.35. AK Steel, that's been on a run here. Is it at 10
I
bucks?
tried shorting that yesterday, and you know what? I had this one too, and I got stopped. I took it out off too fast, so I started shorting it after it started coming down yesterday. Following your rules there, Joel. And I shorted 11.15, and I literally took no heat on it. But it started coming in 11.05, and then it started rallying again. It came back to 11.05. I'm like, take the 10 cents. Should have held because it went down another 30 cents. That scalper blood get me again.
Close and the low, real close to each other. 1072 close, 1065 low, 1071. That was your 2-day low. I see nothing down to the lower 10s. if in fact it can take out 1065. All right, we're going to take our first and only break of the day, and boy, I sure hope this goes well. And we're going to call Kenny Glick, and he is the owner and creator of HitTheBid.com. So bear with us for just a few moments. We'll be right back with Kenny.
Whether you're a short-term swing trader or a long-term investor, you need to check out Thinkorswim, brought to you by TD Ameritrade. There's a reason why Thinkorswim has been named the #1 trading platform, because it has it all. With Thinkorswim, you can trade stocks, options, futures, forex, and virtually every other type of order. Get notifications on mobile devices and interact with other traders in chat rooms. You can also use technical indicators and see the latest investing and trading education in Think Money magazine. If you want to keep up with the markets, you need Thinkorswim. To experience everything Thinkorswim has to offer, open a TD Ameritrade account today. Thinkorswim, the online trading platform for traders and investors. TD Ameritrade, member SIPC. All investing involves risks.
Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by Benzinga Pro. I'm your co-host, Joel Elkanah, along with Dennis Dick. Spencer Israel is in Kansas City having some fun with his buddies. We have Kenny Glick on the line, owner and creator of HitTheBid.com. Kenny, how you doing on this Friday morning?
Fantastic. What's happening, fellas? Always good to be here.
Yep, and
How you
not,
been?
we're not going to have any technical difficulties. We're doing good. First of all, we got to mention some of your outstanding calls from a few. You said 20,000, and we'll probably hit it today. Only 400 points away, but it's still early here. 20,000. I mean, that's probably a low target. What are you looking for in 2017? 30,000?
No, I'm going to go 36,000, and I'll give you the date and time again.
Isn't there a book, Dow 36,000? I remember reading that.
Yeah, my buddy. Yeah, Mr. Hirsch, the Super Boom.
Is that Hirsch's? Dow 36,000.
Yeah, that's Jeff Hirsch. Yeah, the Super Boom. We just entered it. I was talking to him at the expo in Vegas. He says we may have just entered into it, but ready to see how January plays out. I think I'm going to be done making predictions right now because this was a monster. And I think that we crashed your website last time because I was trying to tell people on January 20th, 2017 at 1:43 p.m. that would be hitting 20,000. And next thing you know, the website crashed. So I knew we were onto something because the Matrix likes to play games with us. They doesn't want to let that information leak out in too many places. So I thought you guys were like laughing at me, and then you just cut me off. What a dumb prediction! But we're right on schedule. Actually, I might be a little bit early, but yeah, it's been a fun ride. Wish I would have bought more stuff, but it looks great. I'm loving this AMD still. I
Yeah,
remember
let's
that one.
talk about it.
Everybody was.
Let's talk about AMD.
It really just started as a almost like a counter Goldman Sachs play because I've been trading since 1998, and 1999, 2000, it was sacrilegious to put a sell recommendation on something, and then obviously after the crash, it became like fashionable to put a sell recommendation on something. So I remember when AMD was coming out of its malaise back in maybe '09. And we were loaded up on it, and then Goldman Sachs put a downgrade on it to a sell, which you never even see. Stock went down that day, obviously, and then took off for another 4 or 5 points. Then later on down the road, he downgraded it again to a sell, which you just don't see these things. And it's amazing that again, I've been rallying against analysts my whole career because I believe they're just paid off to make these recommendations by people that are, trading the stock. I assume somebody must have been caught short AMD, so they paid Goldman Sachs to downgrade it so you can get out. And nobody remembers that Goldman Sachs probably made the dumbest 2 calls on a stock that looks like now from it's become a technical breakout into what turned into a real fundamental story. I'm not a big fan of fundamentals. I love the charts, but now we've got everything supporting this. The only thing that makes me hesitant about buying more of it is that it seems like it's becoming what they call the crowded trade. But if this is a true fundamental story, then this thing looks like 1250 is easy, and I'm looking for another 6 or 7 points on it going into 2017. But it's getting a little popular for my taste.
It cleared the $10 level, and we like to do this every once in a while. You look at a daily chart, and you're like, holy moly, I got to get out of this thing as fast as possible. It's gone from $2 and change and then up to almost 11. But then you look at the monthly chart and you're like, finally cleared 10
Right.
high. Are we going to 20? Kenny, do you use different time frames for charts, or do you just kind of like to stick with the dailies, or what different time frames do you use, and when do you use them?
Well, depending on, obviously, if I'm day trading a stock, I look at the, a 1 minute VWAP, and I use something what I call a multi-day VWAP, which gives me aggregate data from the day before, which gives me a nice little roadmap to how I want to trade for the day. But I'm looking at a 20-year chart on AMD now. I'm looking at, I was looking at a 3-year chart when it was finally breaking over around 425. And if you could believe that, my chart system is programmed to give me VWAP no matter how long the time period. So people thought I was nuts. I'm like, why am I even looking at a 3-year VWAP? I'm like, well, a 3-year VWAP's 450. If this thing breaks 450, again, you guys know about trading. Anytime a stock recovers and gets back over 5, it becomes a whole different equity now. More people get interested. And, a lot of people don't think a stock can come back from $1, $2 and get back over 5. So that was a big accomplishment for it in the first place. Then it started breaking over some significant levels. I'm looking at a 20-year chart on AMD, and I see, there is some resistance coming up at like $11.35. But after that, I got $13.75, and now we're looking at about a $15.75 stock going back to, 2007, July of 2007. That's where it looks like this stock's going. Now, I know it's not compelling to buy a stock that was just $3 or $4 at $10.50. So what I've been doing now is, considering I think 8 was a very significant number, I've been selling puts at 8, hoping that it pulls back. And again, if you guys are out there selling naked puts, make sure you're willing to buy the stock just in case it does fall back. And again, I'm willing to buy some AMD at $8. So I've been going out there and selling $8 puts all over the place. And even even looking at next year already, because not only do I think this could be a real turnaround story, I think somebody might gobble this company up. And I got a hint, I got a sense that this last move might be just that. There's more, there's more smoke now where there's a takeover rumor going on with AMD.
All right.
Might not be the most popular rumor, but it's out there.
Actually, I was discussing this with Ace, and the CEO of AMD is a young lady named Lisa Su. And I had a clerk when I was on the floor at the Mercantile Exchange who quoted the MMI for me, and her name was Lisa Su too. I mean, what do you think? You think that's the same person?
I actually have
I'm
no
gonna
idea.
I'm gonna LinkedIn her. How's that for an oddball question? I'm gonna LinkedIn her
Yeah,
and
you
see.
can't answer that. Come on, Kenny. You know
Come
everything.
on, Kenny. I'm the comedian, not you, Kenny. All right.
Oh man.
How about X? How about U.S. Steel? It's so funny because I'm usually like bear stocks, and I've seen this one running, and I've seen a couple tweets from people coming, "Oh, red candle! Oh, we're going down." I'm just thinking, man, are they absolutely crazy? Now this is just an incredible run. I guess they're going to be using steel in everything, bridges, cell phones. Actually, steel is a new food and a new nutrient, and people are going to be eating it. I mean. What do you do? How do you pick a
Uh,
top at U.S. Steel?
Okay, I'm not picking a top, but I'm already out of the stock. I find it amazing that, again, this company just reported terrible earnings. It was about to break down. It caught a bid around 1750. Next thing you know, it closed pretty strong that day, going back into the 18s. And then obviously Trump got everything going. I've been having this debate with people on YouTube and people on StockTwits for the last 2 months, and I just got back from Vegas. We're having the same debate. Everybody hates this stock, which again, just like AMD, makes me want to buy it even more so. But the real breakout was $27. So now we got a stock that went from 17 to 27. 27.50 really was the breakout. Now you got 10 more points on this stock. Even though it's gone up this much, and we were talking fundamentals, and again, I always laugh in the face of fundamentals because has U.S. Steel's fundamentals really changed that much over the last 15 days to make a market cap of $8 billion change? Obviously not. This is a short squeeze into, the buyers got more encouraged into a short squeeze. And just like I remember when Priceline was going up every day and I couldn't understand why, it's really just people trying to pick tops, putting stops on, and then getting stopped out, and then it feeds on itself. So I think these last 5 or 6 points, past 32.50, where I thought was a good sell, might have been, this is just a short squeeze. Because, if you want to look at the fundamentals, the company's not doing too well, but does it really matter when the shorts are getting crushed? For me, it looks like you're going to 42.50 on this thing. But, I can't get too bullish on it until, I get a nice, healthy pullback to that, the pullback where there's no bid on the stock and people are questioning their sanity for ever buying this thing at $37, a nice rip down in their face. And then, once it stabilizes, again, I'm extremely bullish on the market, but I've got my levels, and U.S. Steel showed me some reasons to sell, about a week ago, and I'm regretting it, just like Bank of America. I didn't think we could see this stock at $23, but U.S. Steel, if you guys are out there looking to buy it, I'd wait. But for the love of God, if you're short, make sure it's like for maybe 9 minutes, because we were shorting it yesterday, and we.
You can't short these
Yeah,
things.
we overstayed our welcome for about an extra 12 minutes, and next thing you know, the stock rips back up $1 in your face. So very difficult to be short. The time when it's short, you'll feel it, you'll know it when there's just no bid and there's no bounce back, and it starts cascading down. And but for now, I don't see any reason to short anything at this point. Unless you're doing it, just for a quick little hit as a day trader.
Kenny, we're going to take you into a little more boring stock here now. U.S. Steel's been wild, but Coca-Cola, just some breaking news here while you were talking. Coca-Cola CEO, Muhtar Kent, is stepping down, and their current COO, James Quincy, is going to step up to as CEO. And you can see Coke is getting a lift here in the pre-market trade up 30 cents. On this news that Coca-Cola is getting a new CEO. Do you trade boring stocks like this?
Sorry, I drink Pepsi, so move on.
So that's a no? You don't trade Coke?
I have never traded Coke in ever. I don't think I've ever pulled that symbol up. That's so blue chip that I don't even care. That's almost like IBM. Yeah, I mean, it's great for a dividend, but I don't know much about it. I swear I probably never even pulled up a chart on Coke. But speaking of boring, I mean, Bank of America, that was a boring stock. And this stock was just dead money for what, got to be for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that's the kind of stock that I like, that something comes out of just a slumber. And, people are thinking, oh, well, it just went from 17 to 20. Much more could it go? And it keeps on going, because once they come out of their slumber, people get all enthusiastic. The shorts are on the run. And this is why stocks can go from $17 to 23 when they've sat around for a year and a half. But again, this market is phenomenal. And right now, speaking to the AMD, where I think this could possibly be a takeover of 2017, I've been building a position in Square. I know it's not everybody's favorite stock, and I forgot where I was. I was walking around some island, and everybody had one of these things. And looks like the greatest product, mobile payments. The stock's been breaking out a little bit over that $12 area. We're up to 14. I think this is just very ripe for a nice takeover in 2017. So I got AMD as a possible takeover. I got SQ on the books right now as a possible takeover. I've been hanging out with this Transocean rig. Finally came out of its slumber. Usually runs with U.S. Steel, and that's been pretty good. I don't know if you guys watch Square, but it's had a pretty nice move lately.
Looks like it's trying to clear a pair of highs here. It's trading up 16 cents at the pre-market. Two ties at 14.16, 14.17 right there right now, so you might just get another blast there. And Square, Kenny, you mentioned a lot of stocks here, and they all seem to be like U.S. Steel's $40, and the others are 10, 15, 20. I mean, do you just kind of like to watch those lower price stocks, just keep an eye on the tape a little bit? I don't hear you mentioning a Priceline or even an Apple or a Goldman Sachs. Is that just kind of where you've made your niche? You feel more comfortable with the order flow?
Absolutely. Plus, I tend to watch stocks like AMD, companies that people have forgotten about or have given up on, or just not liked. And so when they come back, I just started buying POT. You want to see a really awful, boring stock, POT, Potash of Saskatchewan. That stock just came out of a year and a half of sitting around, finally broke out yesterday. So this is the kind of stocks I like, stocks that are just, the shorts finally give up and you get these nice short squeezes. Whether or not the fundamentals of the company are changing, just like U.S. Steel coming out. Back in February, we're talking about U.S. Steel at $6. We're talking about FCX at $4. We're talking about Marathon Oil at $4. We're talking about WMB at $12. Dynegy was $18. So I like a stock that has gotten its ass kicked, because when it starts to come back, the squeeze is there. You got the bag holders from days of yore that are waiting for this thing to come back, so they start getting encouraged. So the move, and plus the percentage move on the stock, is that much more when I'm dealing with these stocks, under $20 that are trying to make comebacks. That's why I was digging this Square when it got back into, over $11. That's why I'm long the pot right now. I got some MRO, and obviously the Bank of America was dead money. But, trading Apple and Amazon and Priceline and Chipotle, I don't need that stress in my life. As much as I love me a burrito, I don't need it. I don't need to watch stocks going up and down 7-point increments with no rhyme or reason, where I could just, chill out, buy my whiting petroleum down here at, $8 or $9 and watch it go to 12. I'm perfectly happy with that. So, speaking of that, I a lot of guys that know me know that I love these garbage stocks. So a couple on the radar was IPI. Remember this one? Intrepid Potash. Talk about a dead piece of garbage. So we were looking at that lately. And this BKD, I just, again, I get a lot of emails to check out different stocks. BKD, the one that's gotten decimated, that looks like it might be coming back a little bit. But you guys know about CYH? Now, I don't know too much about this one. I just started looking at the chart. This is something that I like. From $53 down to $4. And now it's trying to base out a little bit. So these are the ones I keep my eye on. And if they come out of this, these bottom ranges, for CYH, there's a huge gap. I mean, if this thing could break over 650, you got nothing but air right up to about 960. So that's a monster gap right in the middle there. Now, I don't know much about this company. Do I own it now? Obviously not. Looks like it's one of these stocks that is just waiting for another shoe to drop. But, I don't buy these stocks. I sometimes look to buy options on them, or I just sit around waiting for this breakout. And when they happen, that's when I pounce. And again, it's the same situation with AMD. AMD started out just as a technical break, and then I started reading about how their chip is getting placed into Xbox, and next thing you know, they're signing contracts with Google and Alibaba, and it seems like a whole nother company now. And you guys have been around as long as I have. AMD used to be, the king. I mean, they were right there with Intel. So who's to say this stock can't go back to 30 or 40 bucks? It's hard to want to jump in now after seeing it go from 3 to 10.50, but this market is just incredible. And we haven't even mentioned dry ships yet.
That's what I want to ask you.
We were just. I was just gonna end this segment because we're getting short on time. But this is such a great interview. Kenny Glick, owner and creator of HitTheBid.com. We got to hear your thoughts on dry ships. Yeah, you got to do it. What are you seeing, Kenny?
Dry ships, the Enron of the market, the UVXY of stocks, the garbage of all the garbage, the ninth circle of hell. That stock is just. I used to look at that stock as a contrary indicator for the market, because when that stock would move, that meant there was nothing on earth worth buying. And that stock, when it has popped, there has been a market downturn quite a number of times over the last 3 or 4 years. It didn't obviously last, because here we are at Dow 20,000, but that last move started as a joke at my website, because I was going away on vacation and weird things happen, like Trump being elected while I'm away. Weird things happen while I'm away on vacation and don't have proper internet access. I was in Grand Cayman for a while. It was kind of spotty, but the stock started moving up, and I was like, they just did another reverse split after doing another one maybe like a month and a half ago. I think there's only 20 shares in the float. If this thing gets over 5, it could go to $10, which was the joke. I was like, you want to make 100% on your money? If this thing breaks 5, you'll probably see 10. Next thing you know, I see it's at 14, and then it's at 18. And I saw it pull back, and for a moment I was like, you know what? That's got to be over with, from 4 to 18. And then I texted my guys. I was like, listen, if this thing happens to break $18, this might be one of the most monster short squeezes in the history of the stock market. And I am not going to pretend that I owned it, but I had a little fun from, in the $8 range to like 12 or something, and I thought I was the king of the world. And then when it started moving in 10-point increments, it became $19.99 over again. The saying, a stock that goes to 35 generally gets to 50. So I was like, I guess it's going to go to 50. And then the joke was, if it goes to 50, it's going to 80. And if it goes to 80, it's going to 100. If it goes to 100, you're probably going to get 120. And I think that's where it actually landed, at 120.
Before I was halted.
And sadly, nobody could.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Kenny, we got to let you go here. Kenny Glick, owner and creator of HitTheBid.com. Thanks for coming on. We're going to get you on in January. The chat's buzzing. They really like your commentary. Thanks a lot, Kenny. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Stop by the website anytime.
All right, IDXG here, Dennis, and we're getting some. This is a lower price stock, which you and I are not very good at trading at.
Ace is, though. Ace is good.
Yeah,
at these
Ace, tell people what to do on this one.
Ace is our petty stock trader. He alerts us to these.
Interpace Diagnostic Group, Inc. had a nice move yesterday. Moved from under 36 cents to 120. The volume picked up. I mean, if there's anything I've learned over these last couple shows here, man, I don't know. It popped up to 170 here, in 173 in pre-market trading. I'm not shorting it. I'm not buying it, and I'm not shorting it. But this one, not sure what the news it's moving it, but it had a nice move.
This is big, 25 cents to $1.01 to $1.70. I mean, these things usually end badly, but we know they can get crazy. Not thinking about dry ships here or anything, but I know nothing about the company. But so difficult to short stocks that are $1.46. And this is why when they're 25 cents or 30 cents and you're short them, this is why they're usually not marginable under $5, because obviously when you're on the wrong side, you can get hurt big time. I don't know if this is short squeeze. I'm not sure, the fundamental reason behind this move. Sometimes there isn't even one. Sometimes it's just order flow. But 2.1 million shares have already traded. Crazy stock. Nice alert to us, Ace. If you like trade these dollar stocks, by all means, continue to trade them. These are definitely not my bread and butter.
All right, we're going to wrap things up here. S&Ps creeping towards that all-time high. Be careful. The March will, they're switching the volume from the Ds to the March. I'm still watching the Ds, 51 and a quarter. That was your all-time high from yesterday. Good show next week. Good guest. Frank Longman here is going to be on. He's a Breen analyst. He made some great calls in June with the semis. On Tuesday, we're going to bring on Scott Red Dog Redler for his last appearance of the year. On Wednesday, good old Harlan Pyan will be coming in, and he'll give us his take on the markets. On Thursday, it will be Adam Sarhan and Fridays with Fari Hamzy. He's going to have to figure out some new Sigma channels here for some of these bank stocks. So we are going to wrap up the show today. What's a little thing? Just a quick reminder to check out Benzinga Pro, Benzinga's real-time news platform, perfect for anybody looking to stay on top of what's going on in the markets. With Pro, you get access to market-moving exclusive feed, audio squawk, and real-time SEC filings, as well as the biggest headlines from across Wall Street. If you missed any part of today's show, you can listen to the whole thing again on our podcast. Find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher by searching PreMarket. Please always remember that all the information, material, and content from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing or advice. That's our show for today. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning.